Hello, everybody. A very pleasant morning and evening to everyone out here. I believe that you're all with good health and safe. I welcome you all to our community learning webinar series. And thank you so much for joining us today. In this session, you'll be gaining a deep understanding of the core concepts of Zoho Creator platform. So, Zoho Creator has got many features that you must be familiar with and you might have worked upon, right? So, expertising on these features would definitely boost your confidence level. It'll enable you to handle your customers with ease and provide better solutions to them. And also, it'll help you to convert all the complex business processes into an application that tailors your business needs. So, as if creator is concerned, features like lookup or subform or portal or reports play a vital part in all the applications that we build, right? So we will be delving deep into these core concepts in our session today. And I'm Abhinaya Kannan. I'm from Zoho Creator Partner Training Team. I'll be the host for today's session. So before we get started off with the session, we have few key pointers to be mentioned. All the attendees will be put on mute throughout the session. You can ask your questions through questions tab that is located on left hand side of the screen. Our co-trainers will be answering them. A recording of this session will be sent to all the registrants, and we would request you to participate in polls and surveys actively. Your suggestions and feedbacks are most important to us, and it will help us in framing the upcoming sessions. In today's session, I'll be taking you through the agenda list of topics listed in agenda. First one is establishing the relationship between two forms using lookup. What are the types of lookup? I've listed few use cases, and I'll be taking you through the demonstration as well. So what are the best practices that needs to be followed while you're using lookup? How do we establish relationship using subforms and few subform tasks and actions? And we would be taking you through the business case and a live application demonstration. Best practices to be followed while using a subform. Following that, I'll also be taking you through the combined reports concept, record templates, and how can it be used across the application, customer portals, UI customization. So let's get started now. Establishing relationship between two forms using lookup. So when you take the conventional approach of development, generally interaction or connection between two modules or two databases or table can be achieved using entity relationship. So there can be multiple types of relationship like one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So a lookup is similar to this entity relationship that you go with conventional approach. So it's one of the fundamental and most essential feature as of creator is concerned, as it helps in connecting data between two forms within the same application and two forms across different applications within your Zoho Creator account. So this interlinking process is done using a unique 18-digit ID, which we call it as a record ID. So this record ID, as you know, it'll be unique throughout all the Zoho application. So whenever a form is submitted, a record ID will get generated for each record. So how do we achieve this one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many relationship using the lookup types? There are three types of lookup. One is a unidirectional type, another one is a bidirectional, and third one is a self-lookup. Coming to the first one, unidirectional type. So with unidirectional lookup type, the flow of data will be in one direction, and the ownership or the control will be in the form where we add the lookup field. So under unidirectional, we can achieve one-to-one and one-to-many relationship. Coming to the bidirectional relationship, here the flow of data will be in both the direction. It means that we will have mutual interaction between both the forms that we are taking. That is, we'll have control over both the forms. And the third concept is self-lookup. So we'll have a lookup field which will have reference to the same form. So let's go through each one of these topics one by one. Let's take the first one, unidirectional lookup. And under that, I'm going to take one-to-one relationship. So let's take two entities. One is a person and another one is a license. So one person will be associated, can be associated to only one license. And each unique license can be associated to only one person. So this forms one-to-one relationship. I've also cited few other examples which falls into one-to-one relationship. Student ID can be associated to one student, and one student can be associated to only one student ID. Similar to that, we have employee and department, citizen and SSN number, person and passport, employee and employee address. So employee's email address. So each employee can be associated to only one email address, and each email address can be associated to only one employee. Coming to the next concept, there is one-to-many under unidirectional lookup type. So let's take a class of students. Here, one class can have multiple students, but each student can be associated to only one class, right? So this comes under one-to-many relationship. I've also cited few other examples for one-to-many relationship. So under one product category, we can have multiple products. One employee can be associated to multiple roles. One citizen can be associated to multiple identity proofs, and one organization can be associated to many employees, and each employee can be associated to only one organization. So this falls under one-to-many category, right? So coming to the concept of bidirectional lookup, where we achieve the mutual interaction between two forms. So let's take two order form, order 1 and order 2, and 3 products. So here each order can be associated to multiple products, right? And each product can be available or associated to multiple orders as well. So this forms as a bidirectional and many-to-many lookup. So under the same category, I've listed few examples like employee and project, student and subjects, doctors and patient. So coming to the concept of self lookup. So the best example would be employee and the reporting manager, employee reporting to their manager. So within the employee repository or employee master form, we would have another field called reporting manager. So which would have reference to the same employee master, right? So we would bring this employee as a lookup reference within the same form. So we call this as a self lookup. So in the demonstration, I'll be taking you through the unidirectional, bidirectional, and self lookup concept. Under unidirectional, I'll be taking employee to department for one-to-one, employee to role for one-to-many, and for employee department role, how does it mutually interact? And I'll be explaining about the bidirectional concept within that, and also the self lookup concept with the employee reporting to the manager. So let me take you to the application now. Here, we've built an application called Zilker, Lookup Concepts. So under this, I have 3 different master forms. One is a department, another is a role master, and another is a employee master. So first, let's take one-to-one relationship. I'm going to associate employee to one department. So let me quickly add department and associate it to the employee. So I'm adding purchase, branch 1. So let's add a few under branch 2 as well. So I've added few departments, and each, as I told you, each record will have a unique record ID, and this is the ID, right? So now I'm getting into the employee master. Within this employee master, I just have employee name and employee number. Now let's achieve this one-to-one relationship. So I'm getting into the form builder. And here, so let's add a lookup field for department. So this will list all the applications within my Zoho Creator account, and I'm going to choose the same application, and department is a form that I wanted to look up to. So I'm taking the department field, and what is the field that I need to display? So department is the field that I needs to display. But at the backend, actually the ID is something that will be used for interlinking or establishing relationship between the employee details form and the department form. So here in the display format, we have 2 options. One is the single selection and another one is a multiple selection. So since I'm going to choose only one department and associate only one department to each employee, I'll be going with either drop down or radio button. Now I'm choosing drop down. Once this is done, it'll fetch all the department values by mapping the record ID. So now we have the department. On the right hand side, you can see the display field. I can add up to 3 display fields here. So it could be branch or ID or any other system fields that I need to show in the form layout or in the view. So I'm just going to add the department here. We have few other properties like allow new entries, alphabetical order, and set filter. So if you're adding a new entry from the employee master, you're adding a department field, it would get added to the master form directly. And also, if you wanted to display the department in a chronological order, then you can choose this alphabetical order. And coming to the set filter option, so if you wanted to display the lookup field based on certain criteria, then you can go for this filter option. Here I'm choosing branch is equal to branch 1. So I'm going to display all the departments of branch 1. So we've set the filter criteria as well. Here, the main advantage of using the lookup field is I can limit the number of forms that is being created in an application. So I can avoid the redundancy. I can create one form and I can use it across the applications, within the same application or across the applications. So, and also I can avoid the duplication. So now let me go to the live mode of the application. Here you would be able to see it has fetched all the department values. So as I told you, at the backend, it would carry the record ID. So let me, on choosing this logistics, I'll show an alert on how this record ID is being stored in the backend. So I'll write a workflow for that. I'm choosing employee details. On user input of the department, I wanted to alert the lookup field. So here I'm choosing the alert. I'm adding the alert statement, input dot the department. Here you could see the data type as begint, as the record ID will be in the form of integer, that is number. So the data type is begint here. So into the employee details, if I choose the department, it would show the alert of 18-digit unique record ID. So the advantage of having the record ID is that with the record ID, you can as well fetch the other fields within the form and within the record. And coming to the next concept, that is one-to-many. So now we're going to take employee and roles as an example. I'm going to associate one employee to multiple roles. Here, multiple record ID will be stored in the employee details in the roles field. So let me get into edit mode now. I'll add the lookup field again. Now I'm going to choose the roles master. Here, I'll be choosing the form as roles and the field as roles again. Since I wanted to choose multiple options, that is, one employee can play multiple roles. So I'll be going with the multi-select option. So this will fetch all the roles by mapping the roles record ID. Again, we have department and role within the employee master. I'm refreshing and I can add. So we don't have data into the roles master. So let me quickly add few records. So now when we get into the employee details, I'll be able to associate one employee to multiple roles. So coming to the concept of bidirectional relationship. So here within the employee details, I'm able to associate employee to the department and also with the role. Now I wanted to achieve the same within the department form and also within the role form. So when I go to department, I should be able to see who are all the employees who are associated to that particular department. And when I get into the roles form, I should be able to see who are all the employees who are associated with a particular role. Here, a mutual interaction has to happen between the employee master and department and also the roles. So how can this be achieved? So here I will be bringing the concept of bidirection. I'm choosing this department here. So we have the bidirectional option available and we'll have to enable that option. It's getting loaded. Just a few minutes. Sorry. So I'm choosing the department and I'm enabling this bidirectional relationship option. And the display type here will be multi-select. So here the fields to be related is employee name. I'm going to check with one department how many employees are associated. So I've established a bidirectional relationship here. And also into the role, I'm going to establish bidirectional relationship. And I'm choosing the multi-select option. So now let's add an entry and see how you can view the department and role within the employee master, and how can you view the employees within the department and role. I'm getting into employee details and let's add an employee. Choosing logistics, or let's choose sales. I'm adding as a sales manager. So here I'm choosing purchase executive and a purchase manager. So he's associated to multiple roles. I'll add another employee. So again, I'll associate this employee to sales manager role and the purchase manager role. So when you get into the employee details, you would be able to see this department and roles. So now when you get into department, since we've added the bidirectional relationship, let's enable the employee field here. So all the related fields and the forms, like we've established the relationship between two forms, right? So all those forms will get displayed here. I'm choosing the employee details within the departments and also within the roles. So let me refresh the department report here. And here under the purchase, I have one employee associated. Under sales, I have two employees, Shwenika and Abhinaya, being associated. So when you get into all roles, so under each role, you would be able to see how many employees are being associated. So here you could see the mutual interaction happening between employee details and department, employee details, and role, right? So this is about the bidirectional relationship. Coming to the next concept, which is the self lookup. So for the self lookup, we'll be having the lookup field within the same form. So let me get into the employee details again. And I'm going to add a field called reporting manager. So the reporting manager would be another employee, right? So here I'm choosing employee details itself as a lookup, and I'm choosing the employee name. Here, this lookup field has gotten reference to the same form that is within the employee details. So it falls under the self lookup concept. So if I add a new record, all the employees that we have added into the employee details would appear within the reporting manager lookup field. So I'm getting into the presentation again. So fetching data with the lookup field. How do we achieve this? There is a syntax for fetching the data with the lookup field. So variable is equal to form to lookup to, and you would be using a filter criteria. ID is equal to input.lookup field dot field to lookup to. So let me get into the application and show you how to fetch the data from the lookup field. So within the department, we have department and branch. So on choosing the department, it has to show me the branch or alert me the branch. So let's achieve this using the fetch statement. So on user input of the department, I want to fetch the branch. If underscore department is equal to, this is the variable and form to look up to. So let me just add a fetch statement. If underscore department, and here the form that I'll be looking up to is a department. So the ID should be equal to input dot the department. So the department that I key in into the employee master should be equal to the ID in the department field. And from the department master, I'm going to fetch the field, that is branch. I'm using get all. And this will be stored within the collection variable f underscore department, right? So now let's update and alert this f underscore department. So now when I choose employee department, the system will show the branch. I'm choosing sales. It'll show me branch 1. Again, this is also relevant to branch 1. Since we have the filter criteria with all the departments related to branch 1, it'll only fetch the branch 1. So there is another concept of looking at the data model. So let me take you through that as well. Here, when you get into settings, there is an option called Schema Builder under the developer tools. So when you get into the Schema Builder, all the relationship that you have set will be appearing here. Between employee details and the department, you can see there are two bidirectional relationship established, and between employee details and role, bidirectional relationship is established. And from here, you can set the relationship as well. So this we call it as a schema builder. So this is about all about the lookup field. And there are few best practices that you need to follow when you're using the lookup field. So always fetching the statements using the lookup field will be really faster, as the ID columns are indexed in the backend. And always try to make use of equals ignore case instead of the equal to operator while you're setting up the lookup criteria, and limit the number of records that are being mapped to the multi-select lookup. And when it comes to single selection, use drop down, and if it comes to multi-selection, use multi-select option. And this would definitely facilitate the search and auto completion of the search. So always try to minimize the use of self lookup reference to the same form, or adding multiple blocks in the detail view. So it's not like a limitation. Uh, if there is a relevant use case where you wanted to use multiple lookup, very well you can use it. But considering on the performance aspect, it's always good to minimize the number of self lookup reference and number of related blocks being used within the application. So coming to the next concept, we've been discussing about how we could establish the relationship between two forms using lookup. How the next concept would be, how can we achieve the same using a subform? And what a subform is? So a subform is nothing but a form within a form, existence of a form within a form. So a form in which you add the subform is called the main form. And here you can see the parent-child relationship. So imagine that you've built a restaurant management application within your Zoho Creator platform for your company. So this restaurant management application would have the customer details, the table master details, and the order details, billing details, item details, and all that, right? So here the customer would order for multiple items, right? So one order has to be associated to multiple items. Here, the order number, the table number, the customer name, customer information can be fed in within the main form. Now, if I have to add or associate one order to multiple items, how do I achieve that? So this is when we introduce the concept of subform, wherein you can add multiple items to the subform as a line item, and you can associate it to one single order. So next we'll go to the concept of the types of subform. We've got two types of subform. One is called the blank subform or the inline subform, and another is called the existing subform. So coming to the blank subform, let's take a form called form 1, which has got the order information, and within form 1, we can, if you wanted to introduce the product information, we can add the blank subform and add the product information. That is, the existence of the blank subform would be within the parent, within the same form. So it'll automatically recognize the parent-child, the relationship. You don't have to set it manually. So that is about the blank form. It'll be considered as one of the fields within the form. Okay. And coming to the existing subform concept. So assume that we have a form called form 1, which is order information, and there is another form 2, which exists, which is a existing form present within the application. Now, if you wanted to add the product information into form 1, then you can use the existing subform concept to do so. Here, uh, to uh, to recognize the parent-child relationship, that is, you have to manually associate the parent ID into the product form for the system to recognize that this is its parent. So, so the main advantage of using the existing subform is that the users can separately view the subform records in the report. And so as I told you, the advantage of existing subform over the blank subform is that users can have a separate view in the form of report, as the existing subform is a form by itself. And since you have it in the form of report, you can completely customize the report layout. You can group or filter the data, sort the data in the report. You can set the bidirectional relationship, and you can have the mutual interaction between the parent and subform. You can get the aggregate of the values within the subform. So all these can be achieved when you use existing form of as a subform within your main form. So what are the subform tasks that are available? One is inserting rows into the subform, another is clearing the rows in the subform, and third one is accessing the fields in the subform. So here we've listed all the syntax: input.subform link name dot insert of variable, and for clearing the rows in the subform, input.subform link name dot clear off, and accessing fields in the subform. So you can fetch the values from the subform rows, and you can also set the values into the subform, right? So here is a syntax for that. And now we would be getting into into an illustration of inserting rows into the subform. So let me get into the application now, the demonstration part. Okay, so I have an application called Zilker Vehicle Management. So within this vehicle management, I've got the vendor master, the service details as a existing subform, the vehicles master with vehicle number, make and model, and the vehicle services. So this is the main form where we would be adding all the service information and associating it to the vehicle. So here I'm getting into this vehicle's service form. Let me add few data, VIN. Let me submit it. This is a unique identification number for the vehicle. So let's add few vendor as well. And now I'm getting into the vehicle services. So here, for each vehicle, what are the services that a vendor need to do? So that order information or the service related details will be added here. Now I'm going to use the existing subform and the blank subform. Here, let's add a existing the blank subform now. So here we'll have to add couple of fields. I'm naming this as service opted. Just for my reference, I'm naming this as blank. Let's add a few fields. One is a service. Another field is a currency field. So I'm giving this as service field, and here I'm giving it as price. Here, there are few subform related properties, like you can add as many rows to the subform, and you also have options to change the width, column width, or the field width of the subform. And let me just choose this subform. You would be able to see that you can adjust the width automatically, and you also have option to adjust the width manually. You can as well set the default entries. If I set the default entries to be 1, automatically 1 row would get inserted into the subform. And if you wanted to limit the maximum number of entries to say 5, after 5 rows has been reached, you will not be able to add any more rows into the subform. So I'm just disabling both the options here. Now let us see how this form looks. So here you would be able to add or remove the records from the subform. And we have this vehicle number as a lookup. And this is the blank subform that we've added. We will also add another subform that is the existing subform. And I'll show you the difference. So we already have a form called service existing. I'm using that as a existing subform. service opted existing. This is for our reference. So the fields that I've added into the subform would be appearing here. And you can see that here also you would be able to add and delete the rows. So what exactly is the difference? And how do we achieve the parent-child relationship? So whatever data I add into this subform, here this will be called as a main form where I've added the service number, service date, and vehicle name. And this, when I add information or data into the service opted existing, an entry will be available within the service existing form as well. So here, within the service existing form, we would have to establish the parent-child relationship. So let's add a data, and I'll show you the difference between blank subform and existing subform, and we will also establish the relationship. So let me get into the vehicle details. I'm adding the service number, date, and for the vehicle, let's add the service as cleaning and the price as 1,200. And puncture, I'm adding it as 500. So let me add this into the existing subform as well and see what the difference is. I'm adding the price. Now let's submit the data. Once it is being submitted, let me add the subform into the report. So we want a service opted blank and also the service opted existing, right? So now let me refresh this. Here we have the vehicle name, the service number, and service opted blank and the service opted existing. So if this particular, the blank subform shows the service name, and this will be one of the fields within the main subform. That is the main form. And this will be, when the data is added into the existing subform, it will also get added to the service existing. You could see the data separately here. So the user can have a separate view of the information added to the subform. So that is one of the main advantages. And here, now we will also establish a relationship. And if you wanted to display multiple items of blank subform, you can use the delimiters to do so. So let me quickly do that as well. Into all vehicle service. So when you go for this service opted blank, here the display field is actually service, right? If you wanted to add the price as well, you could add that and it will be shown within the same field, and you can use the delimiter. It could be space or comma or a custom delimiter. So I'm using comma separated values. And also for service opted existing, you could add another field. So this will act as a collection of data, and for the service opted existing, it will be added as each row in the record, in the table. So here, when we get into vehicle services, you would be able to see the delimiter comma separated values within service opted blank and service opted existing, right? So now the next concept is I wanted to establish a bidirectional relationship, and I wanted to associate this this particular form to the parent ID. So I'm getting into service existing, edit mode, and I'll be telling the system that order form is its parent. That is, the vehicle service is its parent form. So here I'm adding a lookup field, and in the lookup field, I'll be choosing the vehicle service and the service number. So here, the existing relations are found within the selected forms. So here you're going to enable the bidirectional sync, so that within the vehicle service form, you would be able to see all the services that are being opted, and within the service existing form, you would be able to see the vehicle service numbers as well and the relevant information. So here I can opt whether it has to be a single selection, drop down, or radio button. I'm choosing drop down. So within the report, let me add the field. The vehicle service number has already been added. Now, when I get into the report, I would be able to see the vehicle service number and what are the services associated in separately in the form of report. So I can group it based on the service number. I can also filter the data since I have this as a separate view, right? That's the advantage of using the existing form as a subform. Hope you're clear with this concept. So I'll also show you. Okay, we have established the bidirectional relationship. I think we've covered all the concept here. Okay, coming to the next topic, that is subform actions. So as of subform actions are concerned, there are four different actions which you can find it within the workflow. So show subform add entry, hide subform add entry, show subform delete entry, and hide subform delete entry. So within illustration, I'll be showing how this can be achieved. So you would be within each subform, you would be able to see add new and the delete option, right? So I'll be getting into the demonstration with an application called Company Vaccination Drive. So before that, I just wanted to take you through the insert row, and after that, let's get into the subform actions. So now what we'll be doing is within this vehicle services, let's try to insert a row using the insert row function. Here, automatically a row needs to be inserted. So how can this be achieved? Let's write a workflow for that. Within the vehicle management system, I'm choosing vehicle services, and within the vehicle services, on load of the form, I wanted a default row to get inserted. Here, in the first line, I'm going to declare a row. I'm giving it as D underscore row, and I'm giving the main form name as vehicle service dot, I'm choosing the subform. So let me choose the existing subform. And this is the way you get the data structure of the subform. That is, this D underscore row will hold all the rows that are existing within the subform. Okay. So for each field within the subform, I'm going to assign a static value. D underscore row dot. When I keep a dot, it will display all the fields that are available. Service name is equal to cleaning, and D underscore row dot price is equal to, say, 1200. So I've assigned values to the fields within the row. Now input dot, I'm going to add the insert function here. Input dot, the service, that is the subform name, service opted existing. I'm going to insert the row into the existing subform. So I'm choosing the insert function, and within the insert function, what is that I have to insert? So within this D underscore row, it'll have the collection of rows and its values, right? So I'm choosing D underscore row. So once it is saved, by default, a row will get inserted into the vehicle service form with the default value, cleaning, and the price. And this is how you'll be using the insert row function. So as of the clearing row function is concerned, when you use the blank subform, it generally clears off or deletes all the values from the blank subform within the main form. But as of the clearing rows function is concerned with the existing subform, it will clear off or delete the values from the parent form, but it will have a clause intact with the child form. That is, the values will remain within the existing form. So that's a difference. And coming to the subform actions again. So I've been discussing about 4 different subform actions: show subform add entry, hide subform add entry, show subform delete entry, and hide subform delete entry. So here we have this add row and delete row, right? So how is it being handled? I'll show that. So now we have a different application called Zilker Vaccination Management. Within this, we have this employee details and also a form called vaccination drive. So within this vaccination drive, like for the employees who are getting vaccinated, we'll be adding the dose, when is the slot allotted, and the ID proof, right? So if an employee is already vaccinated, I do not want the employee to add the rows here. So this needs to be hidden. The add row value should not be shown. So how can this be done? I'm editing the application. So let's create a workflow quickly. And within this vaccination drive, let's choose the field rules. So here, I'm going to hide the add row. Here, let's also set a condition that when an employee is already vaccinated, the add row action needs to be hidden. So here I'm choosing the condition already vaccinated is equal to true. If it is true, so whenever you add a subform, this show or hide subform actions will get enabled automatically, and you can go ahead to choose it. And you can, what is the action that you wanted to perform? So I wanted to hide the subform add entry. I'm hiding the subform add entry, and within which subform? We have only one subform, that is vaccination details. So here, if I choose already vaccinated, the add row will get hidden. And this is one of the examples for the subform action. So coming to the next part, that is the live application that we've built in Creator. Till now, we've been looking into the concept of subform and lookup. So in this application, let's see how efficiently and how effectively it can be used within the application. So for this demonstration, we have taken the airport duty free shop as an example. This assume that this duty free shop has got 2 selling points, that is store A and store B, and it has also gotten a warehouse, airport bonded warehouse. So the stock transfer can happen between 2 different stores, or the stock transfer can happen between store and a warehouse. So in this demonstration, I'll be explaining about how the stock transfer happens between a store and the warehouse. That is, this scenario is being handled. And within the point of sales, since we've taken store 1 and store 2 as a selling point, generally what happens is a customer comes in to get the product. He chooses the product, and the POS system will evaluate the price for the product, and customer pays for it, and we do the billing, right? So with this live demonstration, we've explained on how the sales transaction happens from the selling point, and also how does the cashier or a salesperson raises an internal purchase request if the product goes out of stock. So these two scenarios are being handled. So within that, like we've handled multiple subform scenarios. One is filtering and populating the field in the subform based on the information chosen in the main form, and populating other fields in the subform based on the information chosen in the subform, and transferring data from one subform to another subform within the same form, transfer of data from one subform to another subform from a different form. And we would also be discussing aggregate function and how is the information stored in the existing subform. So let's get into the live demonstration now. So Zilker Duty Free Shop is a application that is being built in the Zoho Creator platform. So here, as I told you, we have options to add the stores, and store would be the selling point. Here within the stores, we have inventory type as store and warehouse. So while you're keying in the data, you can specify whether it is a store or a warehouse. And you're giving the store address, store name, and the other store details. So as of now, I've added 2 stores and 1 bonded warehouse. So the stock transfer can happen between stores and also between store and warehouse. As I told you, now we'll be handling store to warehouse stock transfer. So the next master form is the products. Within the product, we would be associating product to each store, and also we would be keying in the stock level on each store. So here we have the product category, product name, the base unit, and SKU code. And below that, we have stock levels as a existing subform. So let me get into edit mode of the application. So here I'm associating product to each store, and also I'm entering the stock level for each store and the available quantity price. So here you can see I've added stock levels as a existing subform, and I've also set the bidirectional relationship. So within the stock levels, I've added product as a parent. So when you get into parent, the stock levels, product is being added as a parent, and a bidirectional relationship is being established between the products and stock level. So when you get into stock level, you would be able to see all the product related information, how much, in which store, what is the available quantity, its SKU code, the base unit, and all that. So, and within this, we have few other forms like all selling products and all purchasing products. These are all the existing subforms that I would be using within the sales transaction and also within the purchase transaction. And we have vendor master to store all the vendor details. And within the stock levels, as we have this as a subform, once you add information into the product form, it will get stored in the existing subform as well. So I've added few products here in each store and also in the bonded warehouse. Let me get into the point of sales. We have point of sales and the purchase order. So let me add a sample order, YD001, and I'm choosing a store. So the first scenario that will be handled is on choosing a particular store, how does the product get filtered here? Since within the stock level, we have all the stores, the products store and the stock level. So how do we filter the products based on the store that is being chosen is the first scenario that we'll be handling. And in the next scenario, when I choose a particular product, it has to auto-populate other fields. So how do we handle this within this application? And it will also display all the stock levels from other stores. So here, let me just give the ordered quantity to be 200, and the total gets calculated. There is an option called request for stock, right? So if I enable this option, there is another subform called internal purchase request, right? So let me get into the point of sales form. I've added 2 different subforms. One is for the sales purpose, and another is for the for raising the internal purchase request. Both are the existing subform. Okay. So if I enable this request for stock, a row should get automatically populated or inserted into the subform 2, that is internal purchase request. So take an instance where the customer orders for a product and it is out of the stock. So the cashier might need to request for the next set of stock to the vendor or to the warehouse, right? So for raising the internal purchase request, he can add the order quantity from here itself. So that is another scenario that is being handled. So from one subform to another subform, how is the data transfer happening? So when I enable on this request for stock, a row will get automatically inserted, wherein the cashier can add the order quantity or the salesperson. So here, the net total is being calculated, right? So here we had used the aggregate function for calculating the net total. So let me add another product as well, nachos. And here I'm giving the order quantity to be, say, 10. Here, I'm not going to insert this because I have the enough quantity here, and I'm submitting it. So once this is done, an entry will get automatically generated into the purchase order. So you can see that into the purchase order, this is an internal purchase order, which will have the source store and the destination store. Source is the warehouse. From warehouse, the stock transfer is going to happen to the store, right? So we inserted one product, and that you could see it here. Since it is an internal purchase request, you don't have to give the price or the total. It's just the order quantity. And the source store and the destination store is chosen. And if the order is in a processing stage, you would update the status as order processed, and you would update it. Here, a custom action is enabled wherein you can confirm the shipment. On confirming the shipment, the actual stock transfer happens from the warehouse to store, and the quantity will get decreased in the warehouse and it will get increased in the store. So let us see how all these scenarios are handled within the workflow. I'm getting into edit mode of the application. So within the workflow, we've already written the workflow. So let me take the first one. That is, how is a product filtered based on the store that is chosen? Here, we've set a criteria where we are checking if the products, selling product is a subform name, and the products is a field within the subform. And we are checking if it is equal to null, and selling products dot the list dot size is equal to, it has got minimum of one value, one record. So here we are writing a fetch statement to fetch all the details from the stock table, since the available quantity and the price and all other details are available within this stock table. So here I'm using the filter condition, store is equal to input dot store. So here the store that is being that is available within the stock level is equal to input dot stores. That is the store that I've chosen in point of sales form. So if this is equal, then fetch all the products using get all. Dot products will fetch all the products based on the store. And I'm using get all to get all the products. And I'm storing it within the collection variable, that is C underscore product. This is the first step. And in the next step, we would want to clear all the existing or the previous value available in the field called product within the subform. For that I'm using clear selling products dot products. And as the next step, I would want to add or show everything in the drop down, that is within the interface in the product field. So for that, I would be using UI.add. And the values that I wanted to add is C underscore product, since it is a collection variable and we're storing all that into the collection variable, all the products that we have fetched. So this is the third step. So this would filter the store based on the product, and it would populate in the products field. So this is the first scenario. And coming to the next scenario. Okay, here, based on the product being chosen in the subform, all other fields like SKU code, available quantity, price, and base unit has to get populated. So how do we handle this scenario? So again, I'm doing a fetch statement and I'm storing the stock level. I'm adding a filter condition. Products is equal to row dot product. So this row dot will refer to the current row. Here we've written the workflow on user input of the products within the subform called selling products, right? So this row refers to the selling products row. Okay. So I'm checking if the products in the stock level is equal to row dot products. Then we are assigning value to each products in the second, in the same subform. So row dot SKU code, here is the assignment that happens. SKU code is equal to cstock dot products dot SKU, and same as that, you're assigning other values as well. Available quantity, price, and the base unit. So that based on the product chosen, the SKU code, available quantity, price, and the base unit will get loaded automatically. So the next scenario that we saw is on enabling the request for stock, a row should get automatically inserted. Before that, we will also see the aggregate function. So for calculating the net total, we've used the aggregate function. So instead of iterating through multiple, using the for loop and iterating it multiple times, like which might affect the performance, you could go with the aggregate function. So here input dot net total is equal to, you're going to add or sum all the values available in the field called total. So I'm using the sum aggregate function to do so. So now the net value is calculated using the aggregate function. And the next workflow that we're going to see is on enabling the request for stock. It should automatically insert a row into the next subform, that is internal purchase request, right? So let's see how this is handled. So when the shop is running out of stock, it has to make an internal request to the warehouse, right? So here, if request for stock is true, so this is within the subform. So I've added row dot request for stock, right? And the next one is I'm getting the data structure of the second subform, that is internal purchase request, and I'm storing it under the variable d underscore purchase prod. So this will have the collection of rows within the subform internal purchase request. So d underscore purchase prod dot products is equal to row dot products. This row dot will it refers to the existing subform, that is selling products. Since this workflow is based on the addition of row in the selling products form 1, it has to insert in form 2. So this refers to the current form. And d underscore purchase prod dot SKU code is equal to row dot SKU code. You're assigning other values like SKU code and UOM. Finally, you're using the insert function to insert the values into the subform called internal purchase request. So this is the next scenario that you've been looking at. And the next one is finally, on submitting the data in the point of sales, an automatic purchase order should get created. For that, we've written a function called insert record into PO. The workflow. So here the first step, I'm fetching the stores and I'm filtering the inventory type based on the warehouse. So if the inventory type is warehouse, I'm fetching the store data and I'm storing it within the variable f underscore store. So on successful submission of the POS, that is the point of sales, I am doing an insert statement, that is insert into the purchase order form. So this is the purchase order form. I'm going to insert into this particular form. This has got the source store and the destination store, right? So source store, by default, I'm giving the warehouse name that we fetched from fstore. So fstore.id. And in the destination store, it is going to be the store that I've chosen in the point of sales. So input dot stores, right? So purchase order, I'm giving a random number. Random number function is already being written. And from that, within this f underscore purchase product, I'm getting the purchase product details, that is the existing subform, and I'm checking if the purchase order is equal to null. So within the existing subform, if the purchase order is equal to null, then I'm iterating through the list of records, and C underscore record dot purchase order is equal to I underscore purchase order. I'm inserting into that purchase order form. So this is the process that's being done. So this will insert all the values into the purchase order form. When you edit it, a random number is generated, and the source store is the inventory type, that is a warehouse, is chosen automatically, and the destination store is what you have chosen in the point of sales, and the status you can change it manually if it is shipped or order processed, and the products that we have added in the point of sales has gotten inserted into the purchase order form. So this is entirety of the process being carried out. Apart from this, you can as well handle other scenarios. For now, we have handled this point of sales. You can also build an application, enterprise application, with different types of sales, like normal sales, point of sales, the retail, the wholesales, and all that. And you can as well handle the drop shipment process. So when you when you enter the details into the purchase order, a sales order should get generated automatically into the generic sales order. So that can as well be achieved. So you can extend the capability of the application to this extent. Yeah. So this is about the application. And coming to an entry. Yeah. One thing is, when you get into the stock levels, the available quantity will get automatically changed. So within the warehouse, it will get decreased, and within the store, it will get increased. We've written the function for that as well. So what are the best practices that you need to practice while using a subform? We always recommend you to use the existing subform, as I've been mentioning about the advantages of using the existing subform over the inline subform, and uh, avoid using too many related blocks in the reports detail view. At least minimize the use of that, so that it helps in improving the performance. So make use of bidirectional lookup relation only if required. So this also is with relevance to the the performance. Again, if you've got a use case where you have to use multiple blocks or bidirectional lookup, you can very well do that, and try to avoid or limit the number of rows being added to the subform. Too many rows can also affect the performance. So coming to the combined report concept. So taking the advantage of the establishing the relationship using the lookup and subform concepts, we can have a single interface which can display the collected which can display the data that's been collected through more than one form. So this is derived as a result of establishing relationship between two forms. And this would have the option to add the related blocks. So within a form, if you have established relationship with other forms, you can get into reports and add the related blocks as well. So let's quickly get into the reports and see how the blocks are being added. Within the point of sales, we have two different subforms: selling products and the buying products, that is the purchase products, right? So I'm getting into the point of sales report, and here it displays all the forms with which I've established the relationship. So I'm adding both, or let me add this, add one and the purchase transaction as a related block. So all the relevant field would get added. Again, if you wanted to add other fields, you can use this option, add field, from the display fields. I'm using approved quantity, destination store, and I would also want to add, okay. So through the reports detailed view, I'm also going to add the blocks. So when you get into the detailed view, it'll show the layouts, right? When you choose the layout, when you go beneath, you would have an option called add related blocks. When you click on this add related blocks, again, it'll show the forms with which you have established the relationship. We've already chosen one form. Now we're going to choose another form and create a block. So in the detailed view, you would get all the information. So let me access this. I'll go to the point of sales report. And when I click over it, it will show me the selling products and the internal purchase request. Both the forms will be added into the related blocks. So this is entirety of this particular application. And coming to the next concept, record templates. So let me move the slide. And if you have the collection of data in the form of reports, and if you wanted to view each record in a structured manner, or in a particular manner, meaningful manner, then the ideal way of achieving this is by using the record template. So I've listed a few use cases. Imagine that we are running an email marketing campaign wherein you have a form registration page and user is trying to submit the form. We wanted to redirect the user to the thank you page. So this can be done using the record template, which allows you to create and customize the template and use it the way you want it to be. Okay. Here I've also listed other few use cases where you can use the record template. So to design or customize the estimates or brochures, or you can take an example of organization issuing the certifications to its employee on taking up the examination. For designing the newsletters, campaign emails, visiting cards, we can go for the concept of record templates. So what are the features of record templates? Coming to the elements. Within the elements, you would be able to add the paragraph, the header, embed the paragraph, upload an image, and you can add tables and also the spaces. So while creating the record template, you would want to choose a form to which you're using this record template. So when you're choosing the form, all the related fields, the subform fields, the lookup fields, if you have integrated with other services, all the integrated fields would also appear within the record template layout, and you can make use of these fields within the layout. And there are few template properties wherein it allows you to add the background image. It'll allow you to display a header and footer, customize size of the page. And also there are other options like auto saving option. Whatever changes you do, it'll get saved automatically. Last 10 changes, you can undo and redo last 10 changes. And you also have what you see is what you get interface. You can resize the width of each column or an element. These are the features available within the record template. And so let me get into the application and I'll show you how this record template can be used effectively across the application. So I'm getting into settings. Within the settings, I have extension, and when you navigate to record templates, it would allow you to create a new template. We have few pre-built templates like invoices, certificates, notifications, and inventories. You can make use of these templates, or if you wanted to go for a new one, you can choose a blank template. And I'm choosing the form for which I wanted to create a template. I'm choosing point of sales. I'm going to create, okay, let me add it as customer billing. Once the sales is done, I'll have to produce the bill to the customer. So let's design a template for that, and let's see how it is being printed. So here we have elements wherein I have options to add the header, and okay, here there is an option to choose the portrait, the dimensions, and we also have the page options to show header and footer. You can also change it to the size like A3, A4, A5. So once you drag and drop this header, you you would see the formatting options, like the bolding, italicizing, underlying, and you also have options to add the links, HTML templates, and all that. So here, let's add a header to it, and let's say this is Zilker invoice. So I can resize the width, and I can as well set the border. So I'm setting a border for it. And again, I have options to add the paragraph. So between each elements, if you wanted to add the spacer, you can drag and drop the spacer here. And if I drag and drop the table, if I wanted to add multiple data, I can add the table. So when you get into more option, you have options to add the columns as well as rows. So I'm just deleting this option. Let me add a spacer, and also if you wanted to add a paragraph, then you can use this add paragraph. I can as well add the images to the template. So here uh, we have options called field, right? So here all the fields related to the point of sales form will get displayed here. If I have the subform, I've added the subform selling products, request for item stock, internal purchase request. These are the subforms that are being added. So all these fields will get displayed here. And I can as well drag and drop these fields and make use of it. I'm dragging and dropping the order number. So when I add a field, you can, over the top, you can see the options like arranging the label. You can add it without the label, or label at the left. And you can format the label values here. You can set the border. So it will automatically populate the order number. I'm just dragging and dropping resizing the width of this. So I'm making this to be bold. And if there is any customer name, you can add the customer name as well. So when I add this stores is a lookup field, right? When I add this lookup field, you can see that this related field property gets added automatically. So when I choose this related field properties, whatever fields are available within that lookup field, that is within the record ID, will get displayed here. So instead of the ID, I wanted to show the store name. So I'm choosing the store name and I'm clicking on OK. So I'm adding the store name here, and I can change the width of it. And on the right hand side, you can add the the order date, or any relevant information that you wanted to add. And here, I wanted to add the selling products. So I can drag and drop each fields here, or if I wanted to choose the fields from that particular subform, I can add that as well. So available quantity, order quantity, or I can display that in the form of the table, subform table. I'm just dragging and dropping this selling products here. So its related field properties will get displayed. I can choose the order in which it has to get displayed. First one, I need the products as a first priority, and I'm dragging and dropping this field over the top, and I wanted to show the order quantity, so I'm adding this as well. I wanted to show the total, so I'm adding that. The SKU code, the price, and the UOM. I can change the order. So here I'm giving it as SKU code, UOM, price, order quantity, and total. This is the format that I wanted it to be displayed. Here, when I click on the settings, I have options to change the label properties and also the value properties. If I have to bold this, or if I have to bold the value and show it in italics, I can show that. And I'm clicking on OK. Whatever fields I add, whatever data I add into the selling products will get displayed here. And within the element that I added, if you wanted to display any field, then you have to double click on within the element that you have added, and you can add the field as well. Say the order number. So we can as well add the border. Here in the settings, I have options to add the background image, the border thickness, and border color. So I'm just adding the border color here as black and the thickness as 4 pixels. So a border will get added automatically, and we can add the terms and conditions here. So let me just quickly add a spacer, and I'll add the terms and conditions using the paragraph. So here, products one sold not be taken for return. So you can as well make it bold. You can do whatever formatting you wanted to do. And once this is done, what I'm going to do is we'll be using it across the report. So how do we do that? So now we have created, and everything got auto saved. Customer billing is something that we created. So when I get into the billing part, I'm going to use it within the application POS. I'm getting into the report properties. And within the report properties, I'm choosing the print and PDF option. And we've created multiple templates, and which template do I want to associate to. So I'm choosing the billing or the customer billing. So when you go to the report, when you click on this report, you would have this print as list and print as summary. So when you go to this print as summary, it would show you the format here, whatever we have built. And we also have options to print and export it using the URL. So let's just copy this. This is a format that you'll be using. This will have This will have the admin username, app link name, and the view link name, and the record ID. So let's quickly add this as well. So this is the app owner name. So let's copy this, or let me add the app owner name here. App link name, relevant view link name, that is the report name. So which is the report that I wanted to use? I'm using point of sales report. So I'm copying this. I'm putting it under view link name, and I'm adding the record ID for which record I wanted to display this. So I'm choosing the ID. Once this is given, again, it will display the report format, the template that we have added. So you can print it in the form of PDF. Again, if you wanted to print and export using PDF, you can follow the method here. The preferred download file name has to be given. That is the only difference. And coming to the record template and send email. So along with the send email task, you can attach the templates that you've created. So this is the format. From to subject and message you've already given, and in the attachments you should give the template name and the attachment format. So within the workflow, so let me get into the workflow again. And we have send email. Within the send email, we have added the template sales invoice as PDF. So here we can as well use the customer underscore billing. So this is the template that we created, right? And the format is PDF. So you can use that format. You can add multiple templates to the as an attachment. So once this is done, you would receive the mail with the format here that's being shown here. Please find your invoice in the attachment. And this is a sales invoice that you've created. So coming to the final topic, like there are a few points to remember as of the record template is concerned. So here the add notes and the sections cannot be added to the record template. And if you're using the checkbox or multi-select option, then you'll have to go with the delimiters like new line or comma or any other choices. And when you're downloading the media file within the record template, then you will have to be logged in as a admin or the shared user to download the media files. So keep those points in mind. So coming to the final topic, that is customer portal and its UI customization part. So we can customize the pages that are available within customer portal. There is a login page, sign up page, and reset password page. You must be already familiar with the customer portal concept. So I'll directly take you into the UI customization part. Here, I've already designed a login page, which is for Zilka duty free shop. I've added a background and I've brought in the sign in page over to the right, and I've added a link as well. So you can design or rebrand your portal page based on the company name. I mean, based on your company. And there is another instance or that we have handled. So whenever a vendor is being added to the system, he'll have to fill in the registration form. He'll be added as a new vendor. Only if he fills in the registration form, he will have access to the portal. So we have designed an HTML page, and also we have a registration form with the type of organization, company name, company background, contact address, contact email of the vendor. And this registration form, see, initially we once if we add vendor to the portal, we would only be having the customer email address and or the vendor email address and the vendor company name. So if I want more information, I can use this registration form to get the details from the vendor. Only if he fills in these information, he'll be having access to the portal. So that also we have handled. Let me quickly take you through that. I'll get into the customer portal page. Within the customer portal, let me get into the login page, page customization. And within this login page, if I go to edit view, it will take me to the record template format. In this record template, I have options to resize this page. So apart from that, I can't change the email address or password or sign in option available. So I can just drag and drop this page. I can add the links to it. I can add background image. I can add my company name and rebrand it. So I can make changes with the record template concept that we've been discussing. So here, the login page appears this way. And I have added a vendor named zcpp.supplier1@gmail.com, and he has been added as a new vendor. So when he is being added as a new vendor, he should be taken to the registration page. So we have already created a registration page within Zoho Creator, and we have embedded that into a HTML page, and we have hidden the navigation bar. So the code snippet part will be sent through the mail to all the registrants. So here, once I add the vendor to the portal, he would receive a notification. So once he signs up for the portal, and when he logins to this, when he is logging into the system, he should be taken to the registration page if he's a new vendor. So let's see how this is done. I've already received a notification. So let me get into the sign up page. So once this is done, it will directly redirect him to the vendor registration page. So this is the HTML page with the form embedded in it. So you can add the company name, company background, the contact number, and you can as well choose the products. You can add additional information and you can submit the information. So once this is done, it will automatically redirect the vendor to the portal. Unless he fills in the form, he'll not be redirected to the portal. He'll not have access to the components within the portal. So this also we have handled within the system. So the main point is that you can completely customize your portal and you can make it appear the way you want. So and with this, we are coming to end of the session. If you have any questions, you can post your questions. I think our co-trainers are already addressing them. I hope you found the session to be useful. If you have any queries, you can email to developers@zohocreator.com and hello@zohocreator.com. Thank you so much.